All right, we are back. It's NHL 18 franchise mode Calgary Flames as we get set to start the 2018-19 season here in Calgary. What an off season it was for the Calgary Flames. The off season of 2018, highlighted, of course, by this guy right here. The Calgary Flames went after the biggest and most highly sought after player to ever hit the market in recent times, John Tavares, and we locked him up to a 4-year, a $42 million contract over 4 years, which is $10.5 million per season. We highly paid this guy, but we ended up getting the player that we wanted. It came at a price. We lost Michael Backlund. Obviously, he wanted to test the open market, so that's why we replaced him with Tavares. We had to overpay to keep James Neal. We also made a trade in the offseason, trading away Troy Brouwer and Michael Stone, two depth guys that were eating up a lot of salary cap. I think they had $8 million combined that we freed up. We got a 4th-round pick in 2019 from Philly for Brouwer and Stone. We went and I'm just going to run through this really quickly. Rent and re-signed Jankowski, Shinkarik, Poirier, Chillington, Kulak, and Gillies. We signed all of those guys before. On the 6th of July, we obviously made the big signing of John Tavares, brought him into Calgary. A very exciting time to be a Calgary Flame now that number 91 is going to be in Flames colors. One of the best players in the NHL currently, obviously more than just a superstar, an all-star. I believe he's a 4-time or 5-time NHL all-star. Finished second last year behind Alex Ovechkin in both goals and points. Had, I think, 90-some points last year. Was an incredible year. He's in his prime. He's 92 overall, so that was huge. We then went out and re-signed Austin Carroll, Ryan Lomberg, Daniel Pribble, Matthew Phillips, Zach Fisher, Itu Tuola. And then we signed our draft picks of Gabriel Jones, Gavin Kennedy, re-signed Garnet Hathaway, Freddie Hamilton, Tyler Wotherspoon, Adam Madison in the AHL. We re-signed Joe Morrill to a 2-year, $1.5 million contract over 2 years, and Dmitry Yaskins, 2 years, 1.35 AAV for Yaskins. And then we went out and signed a couple depth guys for our 4th line in 2 centermen in both Cedric Parquet and Derek Roy, both making $900K per season. Parquet is on a 1-year deal, and Derek Roy on a 2-year deal. So it was a very busy off-season in a way. Obviously, the headline move is we moved out Brouwer and Stone in so we could bring in John Tavares. Obviously lost Michael Backlund. And then we just re-signed a bunch of our guys in the AHL, some guys in the NHL in depth positions as well. So very busy off-season has come to an end in Calgary, but that is exciting because now it's all put to the test here for the start of the 2018-19 season. So welcome to episode 13 of our franchise mode NHL 18 with the Calgary Flames. It's time to start our second full season with the Calgary Flames here. Last year we made it as far as the 2nd round, got beat by the Chicago Blackhawks, and then obviously exited in 6 in the 2nd round. I think I mentioned it in the end of episode 10 or 9. We've made the playoffs now 3 of our last 4 years. We've made it to the 2nd round 2 of our last 3 times in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we're obviously a team that is poised to make the playoffs every year. And now starting the 2018-19 season, many are pegging us as Stanley Cup favorites. We need to get over that hump that is the 2nd round and then obviously make the push. And we believe that John Tavares is going to be that piece to put us over the top. Really, he has the ability to do just that. So we know how good of a superstar he is. So that should not even be a question. So we're going to get right into preseason. So I mentioned it in episode 1. For me, what I use preseason for is to decide which depth players are going to make our team. So for example, we already know that Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau, John Tavares, players like that are already going to make our NHL team. So what we're going to do is, because the preseason does not count against the salary cap, we're going to send these guys down to the American Hockey League. They do not have a preseason in the American Hockey League, so these guys do not risk getting injured. They literally just sit and do nothing. So that is okay, because we don't need to play these guys in the NHL, right, in the training camp preseason, because we already know they're going to make the team. Now, real life, obviously, they're in training camp and whatnot, but not the case here. So I bring in all of our like fourth, third line guys, the guys in the AHL that are fighting to make the team. Bring them in, give them all equal time throughout the 6 preseason games. We'll be juggling the lines. And then by the end of the preseason, we'll look at all the stats and see who performed the best. And the top guys obviously will make the NHL. The bottom guys will go back to the AHL. So, for example, we sent Tavares and Monahan right now onto Stockton so we can bring 2 forwards up. So guys that are on the bubble to make this team. So when we go here by forwards and we look at the first by the overall, excuse me, these are the guys that are on the bubble. So Hunter Shinkarik, Emil Poirier, and Andrew Mangiapane. I think these guys are, of any guys to make it, these guys are going to be the guys that played in the AHL last year that have a shot at the NHL. Garnet Hathaway at 74, Spencer Fu at 74. I just don't see them close enough to being NHL ready. Another year in the AHL won't hurt these guys, but let's try bringing up Hunter Shinkarik and Emil Poirier, and obviously we want to bring up Andrew Mangiapane. So we will send down Johnny Gaudreau. And so our entire top, oh, I guess I just sent down James Neal. Oh no, this is the NHL, okay. So our entire like top line of Gaudreau, Monahan, and Tavares. Tavares will start on the second line. I think that's the way we got paid right now, but we'll see how that goes. But anyways, those top 3 forwards, our top 3 forwards are going to play in the preseason, at least to start, and we will give these other guys a shot to make the team. So that is what it looks like when it comes to forwards. When it comes to defensemen. In the NHL, we already know that Dougie Hamilton, who, by the way, jumped to an 89, I think he was an 87 last year, has jumped to an 89. That's really good. He's obviously our franchise defenseman right now. So we'll send down Giordano and Hamilton. They're our top pairing, and we will bring up some guys that are fighting to make the team. So Rasmus Andersson, we really believe that this guy could make the NHL this season. He's pegged right now to be our 6th or 7th defenseman anyway, so there's a very good chance that he starts. And I think the only other guy on this list, Chillington's way too far back, and obviously Yusuf Valimaki's still in the junior league. So we'll give Tyler Wotherspoon a chance. He's now, I forget how old he is, but he's looking to make the team. So we'll give him a shot. So that is a look at defensemen. Again, when it comes to forwards, all these guys, again, Kachuk, Neal, Bennett, Frolik, these guys are probably paid to make the NHL. Steger, Furlan, Jankowski as well, probably. But here is where it gets interesting. Who's on that 4th line filling those final spots? Is it Dmitry Yaskins, Curtis Lazar, Cedric Parquet, Derek Roy, Hunter Shinkarik, Emil Poirier, or Andrew Mangiapane? So those are the guys we're really going to be watching when it comes to forwards. When it comes to defensemen, we're going to be watching, obviously, again, Brody Hamnick are going to be paid, but we're going to be watching Joe Morrow, Rasmus Andersson, Brett Kulak, and Tyler Wotherspoon. And when it comes to goalies, like I said, we'll go with Gillies and Mike Smith, obviously. So that is that. Even though Tyler Parsons is now a 74 and Gillies is a 73, we really want to grow Parsons in the AHL. So obviously we've got a mess of our lines here, so we will have to work at that. So we'll bring up Kachuk, Bennett, and Neal. Why not, to start things off here? Kachuk's an 87, that's huge. Bennett 83, so we're seeing some of our young guys make the jump. Frolik there, 82, he stays there. Okay, so we'll bring up Jankowski to play with Frolik. And bring in, obviously, Mangiapane and Shinkarik, so bring in Andrew Mangiapane, and these guys are going to get, I'm substituting them in all lines, which means they're replacing the Gaudreaus and the Monahans and Tavareses, so they're going to get the power play times in the 4-on-4, they're going to pretty much get all the ice time. Like I said, these guys up here, we're not going to be really watching, it's more the guys down here, and we'll switch things up, like we can even start Jankowski up there, Neal and Kachuk, put Bennett alongside a guy like Andrew Mangiapane. Now Mangiapane is playing alongside 2 NHL players here, so he could really take advantage of that and see what he does with that. So Cedric Parquet we'll put up there as well, and then Derek Roy we want to bring in as well. So we'll start with this. Like again, it doesn't really matter. We'll be mixing up our lines every game. We'll start just like this with these lines here and see how everybody does. And then we'll switch it up every game. Brody Hamnick, again, we'll keep them in. And then Joe Morrow, who is a left shot, and Brett Kulak is also a left shot, so we'll put him there. And let's get Rasmus Andersson in some action here, so substitute Andersson in. And Tyler Wotherspoon, who's also a left shot, but we'll play him on the right side just because We don't have any other right shot defensemen. So it's really a battle of the left side. I really think, unless something drastic happens, I really think Rasmus Andersson makes the team. But we'll leave that to the training camp. So extras here, just looking at everything again. We'll keep everything as is. It doesn't really matter. It's just preseason. We just got to get somebody in here on the shootout, so we'll fix that. When it comes to goalies, we will start Mike Smith in game number 1, and then Gillies in game number 2, then Smith game 3, Gillies game 4, and etc. I think there's 6 preseason games, so they each should play 3 games. It will even things up as well. So, but Mike Smith is going to obviously be our starter. Gillies is obviously going to be our backup. So that's the way it looks right now. In the NHL, in the AHL, they can go, they can go back to best lines in the AHL. It's not going to matter. So, that is the case there. So we'll go with that. So, okay, so that's good. So yeah, exciting times. We got preseason here right around the corner, which is also, like I said, training camp for us. Okay. So, yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, right? Vegas, 7. We got LA. Okay, so we're lucky we get an extra preseason game, so that will be, we'll use that as well. So, view owner goals, I think we looked at it in the last video. They obviously want us to make round 1 of the playoffs. I think in the last video, they wanted us to win the Stanley Cup. So now they got some different goals here, but we will try and achieve them all. Okay, so we'll start here with game numero 1 against the Edmonton Oilers of preseason. So we're going with the lines that we have again. So again, we're just going to quickly get through this. So let's sim the period. That's this one. Okay, yeah, that's good. I had to figure out which button it was again to send the period. So after 1 period, nothing. After 2 periods, quite a bit of scoring. Rasmus Andersson gets on the board. Steger, Jankowski, they get a couple of goals from McDavid and Benson. And 3rd period, we win this one by a score of 4-2. TJ Brody getting in on the fun. So that is a good game. I'll look at the stats quickly here. If anybody was in the drafting minds, is Michael Frolik. So we might try bumping down Frolik and put somebody else up there with him. When it came to points, 2-point night for Steeg and Brody, and so some of the other young guys getting in on some points as well. So that's game 1. So let's get to game 2 here. Budget, we'll leave the budget as is. I'm not gonna handle that. Set promotion nights, no, we'll auto assign promotion nights. It's not gonna matter. Sometimes I like to set those just for the fun of it, but we'll let the computer do that because we have a lot to get to. I want to see if we can get to the beginning of the regular season in this video. Again, we don't want it to go too long. So, okay, so we gotta quickly switch a couple lines here. So Frolik was struggling a little bit. Let's give it to Dmitry Yaskins. Let's bring him up there. Steger had a good game, so let's put him up there. Jankowski, we'll keep Kachuk up there. Mangiapane. Let's try switching Ferlin, Perquet, and Roy, and see if that makes a difference when it comes to back here. We're going to keep the pairings kind of the same. So I think what we'll do is we'll give Morrill and Anderson some first pairing time, and then we'll give Kulak and Wotherspoon. So we'll pretty much just bump them down. So the top guy will get bumped down to the 3rd pairing. The 2nd pairing will get bumped to the top pairing, and we'll just do that every game with our defensemen. So we'll give them more ice time. And when it comes to goalies, John Gillies will get game number 2. So like I said, we just rotate our goalies in the preseason. So I know I'm going through this fast, but I really want to get through as much as we can here. So let's simulate game number 2 against the Anaheim Ducks. So 1st period, nothing. 2nd period, nothing. 3rd period, there we go. They get 2 goals. We do get 1. It's from James, the real deal, Neal. So they beat us 2-1 in Anaheim. We had 27 shots. They had 35 shots. So just looking here at the minuses, Brody somehow minus be a minus on the 3rd pairing. Rasmus Andersson there as well. Dmitry Yaskins, Mangiapane, and Parquet. Good game though for John Gillies, 943 save percentage there. So that's nice to see. So we will go up to game number 3 now against the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll quickly just back to edit lines here. And we didn't get much scoring at all, so let's just try switching a lot of things up here. Let's go Mangiapane up here. Let's give Hunter Shinkarik some time up there. Let's try Bennett up there. Jankel down there. Yaskins and Shinkarik. You know what? I want to give Jankel and Yaskins a good player to play with. Furling can go up there, and we'll keep Shinkarik down there. Furleek there. Just trying to switch things up here, and then defense, we will obviously put Kulak and Wotherspoon up here. And you know what? Leave Brody and Hamnick down here. We know what they can do. It's really between these four players. So let's see what we got in those guys. I just wanted to make sure for a second we have... oh, we do have scratch players. Okay, so I forgot about Emile Poirier and Curtis Lazar. So for some reason, I completely forgot about them. So we got to get these guys into some games as well. So, who do we take out? We'll take out James Neal, even though he's been playing good. We'll get in Emile Poirier, give him some game action. Put him up there with Wah and Ferlin, and we will try taking out Sam Bennett, and we'll put in where are you, Curtis Lazar? Curtis Lazar, who's listed as a right winger but can play center as well. So that changes things up. We'll give Cedric Parquet some time there. Wah, yeah, okay. Try that. So do we switch Mike Smith back in the net? We didn't. Let's get Smith back in the net. And let's get game 3 going. So again, just trying to change up our lines, just trying to get something here. By the end of this, we want to give everybody as much equal ice time on, every different situation as possible when it comes to lines and playing with just different guys. And it's whoever thrives through those 6-7 games that will make our NHL team for opening night. So we have an idea of what our roster looks like opening night. But this will give us a better look at what it will look like. So Gabranson, we have just one goal in that game there. So overtime here between Vancouver and Calgary, and we do get the winner. Mark Jankowski scores the winner in overtime. So again, not a lot of scoring coming out of here. I know we're mixing up our lines. That could be part of it. But it's good to see us get the win there. Nothing too fancy on this one, but good night for Mike Smith, 967. So we will continue with that. So move on to San Jose here, which will be game number 4. So just rolling right through this preseason. And then we'll get ourselves to opening night. So scouting. Scouting is starting again. We know how good scouting did last year for us. So let's again try it. We'll go 6 weeks to start with forwards in the WHL, finish up with defensemen, then go across the board to OHL, QMJHL, and then Russia and whatnot. So, okay. So quickly switch our lines like one more time here before this one. So should be no surprise that Jankowski, well, he's only got 2 points. I was going to say no surprise that he's leading us, but it shouldn't matter. So what I'm doing here is I'm really giving Mangiapane some good line mates every game to succeed with. I really think that he could almost take the step to make it, but we don't know. So let's put Derek Roy, I believe, scored, so let's promote him to the second line. Put Cedric Parquet down there, give Curtis Lazar some opportunity to succeed. For Stieg down there, Shinkarik and Ferlin will switch spots here, and then again we'll just rotate between these guys here, because like I said, Brody and Hammock, we already know they're going to make it. It's really these 4 guys I'm going to look at, so do that with that, and then we'll go to goalies, and put Gillies back in for game number 4. So who's at St. Louis that we play? San Jose, okay. Don't know why I thought it was St. Louis. Usually you only play your division anyway. So I think we got all 7 games against our division. So first period, we get on the board Poirier. They get on the board with Riley Nash. Second period, Michael Frolik in on the 4th line. And then third period, Curtis Lazar, Cedric Parquet. So that's good to see. After 2 games in which we scored very few goals, we get 4 in this one. And we beat the San Jose Sharks. So that is good. +3 for Rasmus Anderson. Like to see that. Nobody was in the minuses, but +3 for him and Joe Morrill. So that is, looking like a solid pairing right now. Possibly could be our 3rd pairing right now. And then Lazar in there as well. So goalies, 966 for John Gillies. Another stellar game for John Gillies. And I know it's only preseason, but he's playing against every other team's top players, because don't forget, these other teams are not doing what we're doing. They've got their full line NHL lineup against our teams in preseason. So they're not treating it like a training camp like we are, but it's good to see that John Gillies is really performing well. He's listed as a 73, but again, he's playing much better than a 73. So Mangiapane hasn't done too much. I've given him top line minutes now for how many games straight. Hasn't done too much. 1 point, -2. So he's going to come off. We'll demote him way down here. Give Shinkarik some time. You know what? We'll bump Mangiapane is down as that 4th line. Give Ferland some time here. Put Kachuk down there. Derek Roy, Dmitry Yaskins, Ferland, Lazar Poirier. Yeah, let's try these guys. We'll try Cedric Parquet up there as well. So we'll go defense here. Morrill, Anderson, yeah, okay, switch these guys around. But I'm liking this pairing of Morrill, Anderson, left-right shot, and then Kulak, Wotherspoon as well. So let's go to goalies and put Smitty back in net for game number 5, I believe it is. And get right to it. So this is why I like preseason. This is why I like training preseason as a training camp, because I like to see. And again, it's keeping it realistic. You know, in real life, you have a battle. That's what preseason and training camp is for. It's for those you know, depth guys to fight for the final spots on your NHL roster. So that's why I like it, because it makes it very realistic. Because that's just what training camp is for. So, Parquet and Kachuk get on the board, 2nd period. Ferland, it's a 3-2 game, 3rd period, and we do beat them 5-3, Ferland and Wotherspoon. So again, like to see the scoring. It's good to see that. That means we will have depth scoring when the NHL season comes. Once we get our full top 6 in there, that will definitely help out our top 6 in guys like Monahan, Gaudreau, Tavares. But we're hoping for a lot of offense out of those 3 guys this upcoming season, as well as James the Real Deal Neal. So points, 2.9 for a couple of guys here, so that's good to see. Nobody drastically in the minuses, excuse me, so that is good to see. Again, another good night for Joe Morrill, +2. 893, bit of a weaker night for Mike Smith, but that is okay. Let's get right up to game number 6. So our second last preseason game here against the Vegas Golden Knights. What a record, 4-1. Again, I know it's only preseason, but again, this is pretty much our depth roster against every other team's full NHL roster. So pretty good. So edit lines, excuse me. So we got a couple guys we got to bring in here. So let's try taking out Versteeg, and let's try putting in James. Actually, no, you know what? We really need to see what Versteeg has. So let's try taking out Kachuk and putting in who's unstretched. Sam Bennett, James Neal. We'll try Sam Bennett over at Kachuk. And try Ferland up there. Jankowski, Furleek. Yaskins, I don't know if he's done too much. So let's put Versteeg up there. Put Yaskins down there. Parquet, Lazar. Bennett. We'll give Mangiapane some more time here. And then get to our defense. And give this pairing top minutes again. And then get to goalies. So there's John Gillies in there as well. So second last game, Vegas Golden Knights. James Neal's former team, but he's not playing in this one. So let's simulate. 4-1 is our record. Mark Jankowski leading us with 5 points through 5 games. He's a lock for the NHL, but it's good to see him performing in the preseason. So first period of this one, they get 2, we get 2. Yaskins gets on the board, Bennett as well. Then they get 2 here in the second period. So can we bounce back with a strong third period? And we get 1 from Derek Roy, but that is it. Eddie Lack in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. So we traded away Eddie Lack to Vegas last year, and for that James Neal deal, and he is playing for them. So I don't know if he's their starter though, or if he's their backup. But if he's their starter, like, my God, that is yikes. I would not want Eddie Lack being my starter in the NHL. Okay, so Dmitry Yaskin's a +2, so that's good to see. I won't look at too much there. And in 8-7-1, so probably the first game that John Gillies was really just not the best numbers for Gillies, but that is okay. Because it's only preseason. So 4-2, LA's 5-1, so they're having an extremely stellar preseason. So it's time for our final preseason game here against the LA Kings. So let's just let's do something crazy here, like put Parquet there, Roy there, we'll put Jankowski there, Ferland. That is fine. Really want to give Mangiapane one more chance here. Put Bennett. We'll try him at center there, Shinkarik and Poirier, Yaskins and Lazar, but I want to give them some time, so let's go like this, and then go to defense. And Rasmus Andersson may have slightly got injured in that game, so I really like the way they're playing, but I want to keep them on the second pairing, so we'll watch Rasmus Andersson. Hopefully he does not get injured before the start of the season, because he may be a lock to make this team. So last preseason game of last game of the preseason, Smitty is back in net, and let's see if what we can do here against the LA Kings. All right, so here we go. Simulating here. First period, Flames and Kings, they get on the board first, Clifford. Second period, we get on the board with their first Stieg. And third period, we get 2 big goals by Curtis Lazar and Derek Roy. Really liking what I'm seeing out of Derek Roy so far. So we win our final preseason game against the LA Kings, who were 5-1. I think we finished 5-2, so not too bad there. Again, just looking here at these stats and nothing really. And when it comes to this, 9-7-6, what a bounce-back game for Mike Smith. What a great way for Mike Smith to end the preseason on a really good note heading into Game 1 of the regular season against the Arizona Coyotes. So that's a good confidence booster for Mike Smith there. So that is it. That is the preseason. So we have a couple days here before we got to get ourselves... we have to get ourselves, ready for the regular season. Now, is it starting early this year? It is. That is the 4th of October, so slightly earlier than usual, but that's okay. So we have got to be in salary cap compliances by one of these days, but we'll make all of our moves right now. So now is the decision time. So just looking back here at, got to bring up my notes here on my computer. So just looking at our lines, again, that I have penciled out right now, and we'll see how close we are to that. So we have to go to, what am I doing here? We got to go to stats. So this is the fun part. So we're going to look at forwards first, and then we'll look at defensemen. So basically, forwards first through 7 games. Derek Roy, Mark Jankowski, Christopher Stieg, Matthew Tkachuk, and Dmitry Yaskins led us with points, 5 points each, and all in the pluses. Now, when we look down here, this will probably be easier. There's Andrew Mangiapane. We gave him so much time to succeed there, especially in the first half of that preseason. Did not succeed. He finished with just 1 point and a -2. By far our worst forward of the group, so I think it's pretty fair to say we'll send Andrew Mangiapane back to the AHL. This is the guy I have a lot of high hopes for. I could see this guy potentially being a really huge piece for years to come for the Calgary Flames. I think he's definitely going to be in the NHL, but maybe just not this year. 76 overall, high top 9. If we put him back in the AHL this year and have him succeed like he did last year. I think he was second in scoring last year with the Stockton Heat. Just take a quick look here. Yes, 24 goals, 50 points, 50 assists, 74 points last year, 41 the year before, but 74. I mean, this is a guy that's capable of playing at the pro level. If he can have another stellar year like that in the AHL, this time next year, this guy is in the NHL. But right now, I think we'll send Mangiapane back. Emile Poirier played 5 games. He had just 1 goal, neutral in terms of plus minuses. The only other guy that was in the minuses for a league, but he's going to be on our team. So just looking here, so I think right now we'll send Poirier and Mangiapane back, but we still have some tough decisions to make when it comes to forwards. The other guys, 3 points for Hunter Shinkarik, +3. Maybe would have liked to see a little bit more of him, so we'll make a decision there. Cedric Parquet Furley. But I think the guys that will make it for sure is Derek Roy. We obviously know Jankowski for Stieg. Tkachuk, we're going to make it. Dmitry Yaskins has made a solid case to make it. Curtis Lazar, through 5 games, 4 points. He played 2 games less than most of them and put up 5 points and 3 assists, so I think he's locked his NHL spot. Furlan has done pretty good. Cedric Parquet as well, so I think it's all these guys will make it, and our bottom guys, in terms of Hunter Shinkarik, Emile Poirier, and Mangiapane, we'll send those guys back. When it comes to defensemen, okay, so it comes to defenseman, Brody Laz, 4 points, -1, Hamnick, but we won't look at those guys. We're looking at these guys. Rasmus Andersson, +5. Wow. Joe Morrill, +7. I know Morrill didn't get a point, and Andersson just got 2. but that is incredible. Wotherspoon, 2 +2 and 1 point. Kulak, 1 point and nothing. So I think for sure Rasmus Anderson and Joe Morrow have to make it. And then the final spot comes between Brett Kulak and Tyler Wotherspoon, and that is tough. That is really tough because they're both left shot. They are both 76 overall. It's tough, but I think we'll give the edge to Brett Kulak just because he was with us last year in the NHL, and I really feel bad for Tyler Wotherspoon because he's now 25 years of age. He has really fought hard every year in preseason and training camp in real life to make the team, and he just hasn't made it, and this is another good year for him. Not the best, but, really, if it wasn't for Kulak, Wotherspoon would be there as well. But I think we'll give the slight edge to Kulak just because he was with us last year in the NHL. And then we'll keep Anderson and Morrow. So this was actually really easy. Most preseasons, it's actually quite hard. There's a lot of guys that you're really torn on between two guys, but this year is quite clear which guys in both the forward and defensive group that we should send back and which guys we should keep. So, like I said, it's usually a little bit tougher than that. So, just looking at goalies here, Mike Smith and John Gillies. Smith did play the 4, Gillies played 3. 9.45 save percentage from Mike Smith. That's what I like to see. 9.26 for John Gillies. Not bad. But look at this. 1.72 goals against, 2.35. Really good numbers out of both Smitty and Gillies, especially Smitty there. So really confident with this tandem going into the season. That was against 7 Pacific Division teams, and they performed that well. And again, 83 or 82 now and 73. They're not, you wouldn't think that they were playing that good, but their ratings are not accurate. They're playing way better than 82 and 73 respectively. So I know our goaltending looks bad on paper, but my God, look at those numbers through 7 preseason games. I'm really confident in our goaltending this upcoming season, and that's why I wasn't concerned with an 83 and or 82 and 73 goalies going into next season. And that allows us to grow Tyler Parsons, who is a 74, and give him all the starts in the AHL. So that is good. That's exciting. It was a very successful preseason / training camp. So now we have the ability to make our roster moves here. It was, like I said, it was quite easy to make our decision here. I found usually it's not that easy, but it was a lot easier this time around. So let's go back to sending the guys that we're going to send down. So again, we'll start with forwards. Okay, so we'll go down here. So we're going to send Andrew Mangiapane back to the AHL. We're going to send Emil Poirier back to the AHL, and we're going to send Hunter Shinkarik back to the AHL. So first things first is we got to bring up some guys. So John Tavares, welcome to the Calgary Flames. Sean Monahan, welcome back. And then we got to go back here and go down to Hunter Shinkarik. And then go back here, and we definitely don't want to forget Johnny Gaudreau in the AHL. Get back up here, Johnny. So that's how our forwards look. So that is good. Let's go to defensemen now. Okay, so in the NHL, we're going to send, unfortunately, Tyler Wotherspoon back, and we're going to send, that was the only guy we have to send back, so now we can go to in the system and bring back our best defenseman in Dougie Hamilton and Mark Giordano. So there we go. We now have our opening day roster set. So let's go to edit lines. So now this is the fun part. We get to edit our opening day roster. So yeah, so just looking here at what we've got here. So I'm going to make some changes. It might take a little bit because I'm going to go through every line, special teams and extras and everything, and I'm going to edit it to what I think our opening day roster should look like. So give me some second. I'm just going to cut this part out because it's going to be a bit of time. I'm also going to do the same thing in the AHL. So give me a second. I'll come back here with the opening day rosters for both our NHL and AHL squad. All right, so I finished editing all the lines here for both our NHL and AHL teams here for the Calgary Flames as we are set to start the 2018-19 season. So what I think we will do here is I'll show you the lines quickly for both our NHL and AHL squads, and then I think we'll end this episode here and move on to the regular season in episode 14. So just a quick look there. As mentioned just before, we finished the preseason with the top spot in the Pacific Division, or tied for the top spot with 10 points with the LA Kings and Vancouver Canucks. So pretty successful preseason. Not that that mattered though. We used it for training camp. So here is a look at the lines that I have put together. This is our lines that we will start opening day with in both the NHL and AHL. So again, these lines we can obviously change as the season goes on, but this is what we will start with. So starting obviously on our top line, we've got both Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan, both still medium elite. Lots of room to grow as they are 88 overall. So obviously our two top players there in the NHL, alongside with James the Real Deal Neal, who we brought back on that $6 million 4-year contract. So he is on that top line. The second line looking like this: Matthew Tkachuk, who's in 87 this year, with John Tavares at center, 92, obviously our best rated player. And then Michael Frolik. So that's a pretty solid top 6 right here. You can see that Michael Frolik is a bit of a drop-off at 82, but when you look at these guys right here, that's a pretty lethal top 6 in the NHL, and it obviously helps that we brought in a guy like John Tavares. Looking at our bottom 6, Mark Jankowski comes back for the second full year, centering that third line at 78 overall. He's probably going to grow as the season goes on, medium top 6. Would have liked to seen him start around the 80 mark to start this season, but he'll probably continue to grow as the season goes on. Sam Bennett already an 83 overall, low elite potential with him, so he's on that left side. Christopher Stieg, who we brought back, obviously pencils in on that right side on the third line, so that was a good thing that we did bring Versteeg back because we needed depth on that right side. And then our fourth line, Michael Furland. Derek Roy makes the opening day roster, pretty good training camp for him, and Dmitry Yaskins as well. So these two really did a good job fighting there in the preseason / training camp to earn themselves a spot on the opening day roster. So not bad for the bottom 6 depth there. Obviously, Sam Bennett's our only player in the 80s. We got Mark Jankowski, Christopher Stieg, Dmitry Yaskins, Furland, and Roy, all high 70s. So, not bad in terms of depth there. We're going to be versatile. We got a couple extra players that I'll show you here in a second. Let's take a look quickly at our defense. Mark Giordano, Dougie Hamilton come back as our top pairing here in the NHL. You can see Dougie Hamilton already in 89. TJ Brody, Travis Hamonic. So again, a pretty good top 4. That's the same top 4 as last year. Hamonic only in 83, a bit of a drop off, but that's a pretty solid top 3 in Giordano, Hamilton, and Brody. Bottom pairing looks like this: Joe Morrell and Rasmus Andersson. They were our best defensive pairing there in the preseason training camp. So obviously they both earned themselves a spot on the opening day roster. Be good to see both of them make their full NHL season debuts. They both have played games in the NHL before, but this will be their first full seasons for both of them. Both of them still lots of room to grow. Medium top 6 there for Morrell, a medium top 4 for Rasmus Andersson. So hopefully they can make the jump this season as well. When we go to our special teams, you'll see here that this is where we start to put John Tavares in a lot more ice time. He's on our top power play unit with Monahan, Gaudreau, Neal on the point with Dougie Hamilton. So basically what we're doing is we're just stacking this top PP unit, getting all of our top offensive players out there, including Dougie Hamilton, who had 60 assists last year, led our team in points, and then obviously James Neal, Monahan, Gaudreau, and Tavares. Second unit, we'll go with Bennett, Furlik, and Tkachuk, Giordano, and Brody. So this is a pretty solid 2 power play units. Our PP should definitely be near the top this year in the NHL, so let's hope for that. Again, it struggled a little bit last year. We can always switch it up if it continues to struggle, move some pieces in and out between the second and first unit. When we look at our 4 and 4s, Monahan and Gaudreau together, Tavares and Tkachuk together, you're going to see a lot of these pairings together on most of our lines. Monahan and Gaudreau are always going to be together. Tavares and Tkachuk are always going to be together. And then we keep our defensive pairings the same when it comes to that. On the penalty kill, John Tavares pencils in as our top PK player by no surprise. He replaces Michael Backlund on that top power penalty kill unit. Michael Furlik in there with him as well, who's our second best defensive forward next to John Tavares. Hamilton and Brody is what we will will start with, and then Bennett and Monahan start in the second unit with Hamnick and Giordano. Our penalty kill really struggled a lot last year, so we're hoping that this year it's not as bad. I think at one point last year it was second worst in the NHL, and it was pretty hard to climb ourselves out of that hole. But we'll hope for a better PK this year with John Tavares coming in and anchoring that. But again, just like the PP, we can always switch that up if we have to. Tavares and Monahan on the 5-on-3 PK. When we get to extras again, there's the Monahan Gaudreau, Tavares Kachuk pairing together. Bennett and Neal are our third pairing there with Morrill and Anderson. 3-on-3 looks like this: Monahan, Gaudreau, and Hamilton. So Dougie Hamilton replacing TJ Brody this year on the top 3-on-3 unit. John Tavares, Matthew Kachuk, and TJ Brody, the second unit, and then Bennett and Neal staying together with Mark Giordano. So again, we're putting all of our top players out there on the 3-on-3s as well. Extra attackers: John Tavares and Johnny Gaudreau. There's our shootout. That's what it looks like there. So that's basically what our NHL roster looks like. Mike Smith, obviously our starter. Very fantastic preseason for him, as well as John Gillies. Like I said earlier in this episode, even though he's an 82 and Gillies is a 73, they're both playing a lot higher than they are rated. So very comfortable with this tandem going into the season. We can only hope that they keep it up, both Gillies and Mike Smith. So here's our extras: Cedric Parquet, Curtis Lazar, and Brett Kulak. So Parquet and Lazar also having a strong training camp preseason. They make our opening day roster. They just don't make they make our NHL team. They just don't make the opening day roster. So they won't be playing in the first game, but this gives us versatility, because now we have the ability to put these two into the lineup when we are struggling. Two guys that are able to jump in onto our fourth line or third line. Again, high 70s for both of them, 77 overall. So they're right in around our bottom six there, so we can always swap them in and out. Brett Kulak comes in as our seventh defenseman. Obviously, we chose him just over Tyler Wotherspoon, but obviously he got beat out by both Joe Morrill and Rasmus Anderson. So that's what our NHL roster looks like. Very excited to start our NHL season with this roster. I think we have a pretty good team. We're pegged, obviously, to be Stanley Cup favorites in the NHL this year, so hopefully we can live up to all the hype. When we look at our AHL team now, this is what it looks like. Andrew Mangiapane, who we gave so much time there in the preseason training camp to make our NHL roster, just couldn't do it. He still sits at a high top 9, 76 overall, so we're going to give him all of the ice time here in the AHL. Like I said, with Mangiapane, is that this time next year, I fully expect he will have an NHL spot. He just didn't have the best training camp preseason, but with 76 this year, after the season he had last year, in which I think he put up like 70 points or something. I can't click on it right now, but I think he had about 70 points last year in the AHL. If he can have another year just like that, there's no reason this guy's not in the NHL next year. Matthew Phillips comes in for the first time. He turns pro for the first time, I should say. As well as Dylan Dubé, two former WHL stars. So they come in. They were two of our top prospects in the dub. They both come in, and they both have bottom or medium top 9 with Dubé, bottom 6 with Phillips. So we're going to have them centering our top two lines. Spencer Fu, who we want to continue to grow as well, high top 9. I believe he led our team in points last year in the AHL. That was a team that finished first overall in the American Hockey League. So another good year for Fu, and I could see him with Mangiapane maybe next year fighting for an NHL spot. So we want to continue to grow those guys. Hunter Shinkaruk up there as well, who got cut from our NHL team. Garnet Hathaway, 74 overall. And then look at the bottom 6 here: Emile Poirier, Freddie Hamilton, our captain, will center the third line with Itutu Ola. And then we got a couple of our draft picks from this year, and one from one of the previous years. These guys are all turning pro this year. So Zach Fisher comes in. We want to continue to grow him, medium bottom 6. Gabriel Jones, low top 9. And Gavin Kennedy, medium bottom 6. So these guys beat out some of our veterans. The only reason I put them on the squad is because I want them to play. I want them to get some ice time so they can continue to grow their potential. When we look at our defensemen, Oliver Chillington and Juuso Välimäki turns pro this year. So he's probably our top a prospect that's not on our NHL team right now. Medium top four potential. This is a guy that easily can be a top four defenseman in the NHL for us one day. So he's only 19 years of age. Had a really good junior career with Tri-City, but now he comes in and turns pro with Stockton. So his first year in the American Hockey League, we want to obviously grow him, so he's going to get the most amount of ice time of any prospect among our defensemen. Oliver Chillington will also be paired with him on the top unit, so these two guys will get the top minutes. Chillington, medium top six, and medium top four for Valimaki. Wotherspoon, who just missed our NHL team, he comes in there on our second pairing with Keith Ollie, and then Ole Madison and Donsel, they come in on the third pairing there. Looking at special teams, again, you're going to see the theme is we're going to give Mangiapane, Phillips, Fu, these guys a lot of ice time. Chillington, Valimaki, obviously we want these guys to be playing the most, so I just pretty much put them in every situation here. Penalty kills, power plays, extras, you name it. So just a quick look there at all the lines. Dubé as well in on that conversation. Hamilton, Hathaway. 3-on-3 looks like that. Mangiapane, Fu, Chillington, Dubé, Phillips, Wotherspoon, Valimaki, Poirier, and Hathaway. Extra attackers there, and then shootout. So goalies, when it comes to goalies, obviously, as mentioned, we have Tyler Parsons, 74 overall, high starter. We want to continue to grow him. A stellar year last year in the American Hockey League. He will get all of our starts, barring injuries in the AHL. Nick Schneider is our backup, but again, Parsons will play all of the time. If he can really make the jump this season, we're hoping that he can turn pro next year with John Gillies, as Mike Smith's contract will be up after this season. So hopefully we can go into next season with the tandem of Parson and Gillies, but that's asking for a lot right now. So as mentioned, we do have a couple scratch players, so all veterans: Austin Carroll, Hunter Smith, Daniel Pribble, and Ryan Lomberg. I hate to scratch these guys, but again, I wanted to get our guys that we want to grow with the most potential. I wanted to get them the ice time over these guys. So that's what our lines look like in both the AHL and the NHL. I'm going to end this episode here now. I think we will start episode 14 with the start of the opening day against the Arizona Coyotes for the Calgary Flames. Just quickly, I want to show you the captains and jerseys in the NHL. In the AHL, we gave the captaincy back to Freddie Hamilton for, I believe, the third straight year. Tyler Wotherspoon and Andre Mangiapane pick up the assistant captain there in the AHL. In the NHL, it looks like this. John Tavares comes in, obviously wearing number 91. Obviously, we give him a letter as well. He will wear an A for us this season. With the departure of Troy Brouwer, that freed up a letter. There is Bennett. Roy comes in wearing number 8. Monahan, 23, as usual, continues with his A. Jankowski, Parkett there, wearing number 15. A look at the left wingers. Dimitri Yaskins, the only newcomer, wearing 25. Right wingers, James Neal switches to 18. He was 21, but with the departure of Matt Stajan, I gave James Neal his regular number back. And then defensemen look like that: Kulak, Brody, Hamnick. Morrow comes in wearing 45. Giordano, our captain. Rasmus Anderson, 54. So, our captains in the NHL will be Giordano, Monahan, and Tavares. Should be no surprise there. So that's what it looks like in terms of jerseys and captains in the NHL. So we will end this episode here. We will actually end it by simming right up to opening day in the National Hockey League. We got our first game against the Arizona Coyotes. It's our season opener in Glendale, Arizona, and then our home opener will be against the Los Angeles Kings there. So we will pick that up in episode 14. It is a big season for the Calgary Flames. That's our second full season here in franchise mode with the Calgary Flames. 2018-2019, we are pegged to be Stanley Cup favorites in the National Hockey League. It's not going to be easy, but we believe we do have a good team this year. So exciting times in Calgary. Episode 14, we will start with the 2018-19 season.